Well, there's a lot to talk about with Eagles training camp day 6, open practice to the public, not only supporting a fantastic foundation, but obviously going and seeing this team for the first time. Instead of hearing about it, we finally see it. And there's a lot of things to talk about that you might hate, that you might dislike, that you might not like what I have to say about it because it happened right in front of our eyes. So let's get straight into it.
A killer buried, but not dead.
Darren, we better turn around. Because I've seen enough horror movies to know any weirdo wearing a mask is never friendly.
Yo, what's going on, guys? I hope everyone's having a fantastic day. So we're going over Eagles training camp day 6. What a day it was. Really starting out with Nick Sirianni's press conference and really talking about how the backup quarterback position is still not set between Tanner McKee and Kenny Pickett, that it's very close, that they have really kept up to each other. So we'll see how that really pans out, and it will probably go towards those preseason games going forward. To talk about Jalen Hurts and obviously how good of a camp he's had, that he's almost been perfect at this point. And let me tell you something, going into this training camp, it pretty much looked like that. Now, to go through the injuries of the Philadelphia Eagles, you had Oren Burks with a knee that was out. Landon Dickerson had a knee injury. Now, he had the lacerated toe. Looks like Landon Dickerson stayed out of open practice. They said that he would be fine. Nick said that he would be fine. So we're fine there. Mekhi Gardner had a hamstring, Josh Jobe with a concussion, and obviously guard Tyler Steen is still out. So your offensive line looked like Mailata, Toth, Juergens, Becton, and Lane Johnson. Your first team defense for the day was Isaiah Rodgers on his second day of starting on the cornerback 2 spot. Now, Ringo had 3 straight days at cornerback 1. Rodgers takes that number 2 spot the last 2 days, which I think is really interesting. And Nakobe Dean comes up to the first team with Devin White. And a lot to talk about on Nakobe Dean later in this video. Now, it looks like Saquon Barkley had a very warm welcoming from the Philadelphia Eagle fans, and finally in an Eagles jersey, and actually seeing the fans for the first time. It probably was he kind of wanted to put on a show for us. And, we've watched Saquon Barkley for so long, even in this offense when they were practicing today. Man, how shifty Saquon is, and some of the juke moves he has on the inside, the jump cuts. I mean, even seeing some little samples of him in the receiving game and just what he's going to do and how he's really going to transform this offense. It's just so exciting. And I think half of us don't even realize, like, Saquon is still on this team. I think we forget about it and we say, man, I keep forgetting we got this guy. And the amount of attention that they're going to get, I mean, this guy can have a 1,300 to 1,600 yard season at this point, plus a lot of yards in receiving. So I liked his movement today. He looked really good, and can't wait to see more going forward because Saquon Barkley is going to have a fantastic year. I think a lot of people around the league are undermining him of what he can actually do with a good team around him, and it was just crazy to watch. Who is the best at Eagles training camp so far? Who's been the number one player? It's been Jalen Hurts. Okay, you see the pre-snap motion in this offense. You see Jalen Hurts just doing this thing. I mean, he looks very patient in the pocket. That speed is back. I mean, I've watched some of these clips that came out of the open practice, and man, that was the one thing we were missing last year was his speed. When we ran him down with these QB draws and, he got hit too many times, injured that knee, and we lost that big element to the offense, which was using his legs. And then, obviously, with the pre-snap motion down and different things added to the offense, getting Jalen Hurts a little bit of a lane to go down. He looks so quick, so fast. His accuracy is on point with the football, very smart. And there was just a few plays that really stood out to me during this open practice from him. Now, there was 3 touchdowns from Dallas Goedert that I absolutely loved during this open practice. Goddard, I think, is going to have a big year this year. He would have a big year every year if he's not missing from 4 to 6 games, and it really does hurt our team. Even though Calcaterra in this practice actually looks solidified as the number 2 tight end. I wouldn't, think you'd be able to say this because he's never healthy. Wasn't really healthy last year, but Calcaterra had a few receptions that looked really good. Dallas Goedert Goddard had a really good 3 touchdowns today. Though my favorite touchdown that Dallas Goedert, when Jalen Hurts got the ball, he went back, shrugged off 2 defenders, moved to his left a little bit, stayed patient, and threw that ball perfectly in the end zone. I thought that was probably the biggest play he had of the day that really, used his speed, used his movement, and he just looked really good. Jalen Hurts had another big play to A.J. Brown for 40-plus yards to A.J. Brown with Darius Slay trailing him by a yard, a couple of yards, a yard maybe, right in front of him, and caught that ball perfectly. We know that connection between Jalen Hurts and A.J. Brown has been perfected at this point, from the offseason to getting into the offseason program, do a lot of training in the offseason, and always nice to see A.J. Brown make that really big play. Wide receiver 3 was interesting, too, because they rotated guys in the first team, so I don't think there is a clear-cut favorite right now. We had Paris Campbell wide open with Quinyon Mitchell right behind him in the end zone, and Jalen Hurts overthrew the ball. And then there was others that really got shots. Johnny Wilson had a shot and had a completion from Kenny Pickett on a curl route. So I'm interested to see if they use him in red zone because he's 6'7", but he really doesn't have much size. Like, he's a skinny, thin guy. So I'm wondering how they are going to use him, mostly in the short yardage, because they can take advantage of his height, and maybe we'll gain a little bit of muscle before the season starts and see how much they actually do use him. When Britton Covey is given the opportunity, and let me tell you, he went in with the first team as well, and I thought, I think a throw from Jalen Hurts to the left sideline, caught the ball fluidly, just turned himself around and ran upfield for a couple yards. I thought he did really well. He had a couple good catches in practice today. I'm happy to say I feel really good about this wide receiver 3 and where it's going, and we have so much more time. We hit preseason next week and can't wait to see the rest of these guys shine, hopefully. We have to talk about Nakobe Dean. So he started with the first team today. We were kind of like, wait, what? This is the first time where he started with the first team. Devin White, Nakobe Dean, no Zach Bond. So I was kind of lost a little bit, given the opportunity. And I'm sorry, but as of the practice today, not saying he's going to be bad in the future, but he got lit up pretty good. Broken ankles. Kenneth Gainwell tore Nakobe Dean apart. I don't know what's with Nakobe Dean. It's necessarily not even coverage, but it is coverage. He's not great at coverage. But even going down for a tackle, I mean, he runs a wheel route and just Gainwell just breaks his ankles. I mean, takes a really bad angle on a tackle, but you're not really tackling in this open practice. But still, he would have been embarrassed in a football game if this was a real football game. 2 times, not once, twice. So this is making me very worried. This is worrisome because Jeremiah Trotter had a sack today, which was really good. So I think potentially Trotter can actually win this job. I mean, he can get ahead of him in the depth chart at this point. Nakobe Dean is just embarrassing himself. He hasn't done much of anything, guys. He's been hurt. He was hurt 3 times last year. And 22, when the Eagles were up by a few scores, he flashed and made tackles and went in games late in these games. And that's what we got. That's what we were taking everything from. He went to the 22 season and did absolutely nothing because he couldn't even be available for the Eagles. So I can't say he's good or bad, but what he's showcasing right now, I mean, he was in a boot on his leg until February, and he wasn't even cleared for full contact until the day before the Eagles put on pads for the first time a few days ago. So I don't want to say, because I got a lot of crap in the live stream because of it, and I don't know why. It's like, what are people thinking about with Nakobe Dean right now? He's shown nothing. If he can't stay healthy, it's not his fault, but it just happens. But I can't say he's playing good. I can't hope and hope and hope. I kind of realize, or I kind of imagine he's not on the team, and then he just surprises me all of a sudden. He was given the opportunity with the first team to do something, and he didn't. I hope he does something for the next few weeks, hopefully, when we get into joint practices. And yeah, he can't even make angle tackles on a running back that just catches the football close by, and he just took a really bad angle, just bad, and he got embarrassed not once but twice. So this is a little concerning. But Kenneth Gainwell, I gotta say, and I'm going to eat my words. See, I say things about players that I'm going to eat my words about, and Kenneth Gainwell might be one of those players because this is a contract year for Kenneth Gainwell. Gainwell was literally running with fire in his eyes, ice in his veins. I mean, man. I mean, Mekhi Becton had a nice block for him on the inside to get a free release to the secondary at the second level, and he just ran like crazy. I mean, I was just really impressed with Kenneth Gainwell in this practice. Now, Kenny G has actually had a pretty good camp. He's had a couple good runs that we've been hearing about regular training camp. This was when we didn't have pads on. The pads are on, and now he's more focused on being a little bit more physical, find those open holes, and doing a great job. And checking down to these running backs has been the big thing of this open practice, actually seeing it, not only pre-snap motion, but we're finally bringing checkdowns back to running backs, one-on-ones. And Kenny G in the past has done really well in open space when it comes to getting those one-on-one opportunities. I think you have two backs right now that could do it, and Saquon Barkley and Kenneth Gainwell. But Kenneth Gainwell, wow. I mean, contract year, and, this is it. He's playing for his money next year. Obviously, the Eagles are probably not going to pay him because they're paying Saquon Barkley. And, Will Shipley had a couple reps, see what he could do in the future. But Kenny G looking good. I'm not going to lie. I have to eat my words to say he had a fantastic day. And, wow, it was amazing. Bryce Huff was another player that actually dropped back in coverage today. Jalen Hurts throwing a pass, and he dropped the interception today. This has been one of the biggest problems with the Eagles the last few years, even the 22 season. How many dropped interceptions have we had the last few years? It's been a lot. These guys have got to make plays on the football, get our offense in good position to win football games, and do our thing that way, because there's too many missed opportunities with dropped interceptions. But it's nice to see that Bryce Huff is doing really well in coverage, as well as he will going after the quarterback. And we know the whole story with Bryce Huff on, heavy rotation with the Jets last year, $17 million a year, first 10-sack season last year, just coming off 1 year. Hopefully his motor is a lot better this year, can get to the quarterback and do some great things. And then really earlier in practice, we had some offensive line, defensive line drills, really Mekhi Becton to see what he could do since he started at right guard. Like I said earlier, he had that really good block that opened to the right side for Kenneth Gainwell, which was fantastic. Such a strong camp by Mekhi Becton at this point. But there was Moro Ojomo actually got pressure and pushed Becton back a really good amount. I mean, you can see him just he got messed up a little bit. He got some pressure. Moro Ojomo showed some flash, 6th-round pick. Moro Ojomo showed some flash at the end of the year last year. And, do I feel the most spectacular? Do I feel great about defensive tackle when it comes to the depth? Really, ever since Fletcher Cox left? No. I mean, I feel good about Milton Williams. And Moro Ojomo is really the wild card at this point, and, showed that he's tough. Then we had Mekhi Becton against Jalen Carter. Jalen Carter just puts an inside move on Mekhi Becton and gets right past him pretty damn easily. So that is really the whole day of Eagles open camp to the public for a good cause. And obviously, the first time, it's so nice just to see the players actually play and not just listening to reports every day. But I got to say this. It looks like the quarterback is in control. The coordinator knows what he's doing, and Kellen Moore, the pre-snap motion, the checkdowns, just a mixture of different things, and throwing the short passes to wide receivers. I saw slant passes, crossers. I mean, you name it, we saw it. And man, this is going to be a night and day offense than what we've seen last year. And just more creativity and more diversity, and just more things that I could say, oh my God, they actually ran that play, and just be really surprised and excited about certain things like this. And with the defense making some plays, getting some pressure, trying to make plays on the football, I thought they did fantastic as well. But I got to say, the offensive side kind of won the day today in a lot of aspects. And I feel good about Kellen Moore, Vic Fangio. Man, it's been one hell of a ride watching this open practice, just to really see everything up front, close and forward, of what you really have on this roster and how much value that you have. But then you start to see, when the pads come on, you start to see the truths and the lies of players that maybe played well during camp with no pads on. Now with those pads come on, things are coming. The truth is coming out with a lot of these players on this team right now. So I know from you guys, what do you guys think about Eagles open camp? What was your favorite moment from Eagles camp? And how do you guys feel about Nakobe Dean getting beat so bad and just kind of embarrassing himself at this point? I know people are going to hate me in the comments and say I hate Nakobe Dean and blah, blah, blah. It's not the case. But if you guys haven't subscribed to the channel. We cover the Eagles every single day. Like the video if you guys haven't either, because it does help the channel tremendously. I hope you guys enjoyed. I'll see you guys on the next one. Shakes, what up? Follow side. Peace out, guys.